Very good, and welcome to a new video from the Wow Canine Integral Center. Today I want to welcome all the new subscribers who have trusted this channel to learn, understand, and love your dogs. Before we start, I want to clarify a series of concepts and things that I saw in the previous video that are not very clear. Training is not about teaching the dog to do funny little things, okay? Training is a fundamental thing that every dog owner should be required to do, and I will explain why. First, because you learn about the dog. Just like when you get your driver's license, you have to learn about cars, right? When you have a dog, you should learn about the dog, what it needs, how it thinks, how it feels, how it acts, and really get to know your dog well. That's what training is for as well, because you learn to communicate with the dog. It learns to respect you. You learn to love it, to create a strong bond, which is very important. And above all, you learn to control your dog. This is a big problem we dog owners have, that we are not able to control our dogs. And then they can cause accidents to other people, causing harm to others, or they can cause accidents and harm themselves. So, training is fundamental. So, another thing you mentioned is whether dogs are able to recognize their owner after a long time. Look, I'm going to leave a link down here to many that are on YouTube about reunions of dogs and owners who haven't seen each other for years. And you can tell me if dogs recognize their owners, if they remember their owner after having not seen them for many years. And above all, the highlighted message I put, because I thought it was a very good idea that I didn't think to mention in the video, is to give the dog password. That is, to teach your dog some tricks in such a way that in case it gets stolen, or in case it disappears because it escapes, gets lost, etc. So it can be an additional clue that you can provide to the police or a judge to prove that that dog is yours. I want to make one thing clear. The most important thing to prove the ownership or belonging of a dog is the microchip. That is the legal and most immediate way. We are putting it in very extreme cases like what happened to Dallas, Argos and Mayales. Very extreme cases. Let's suppose that your dog disappears. Someone finds it, changes the microchip because they can't locate you. Out of bad faith, for whatever reason, they change the microchip, either by removing it or changing the name of the number associated with the microchip. One day you find it on the street. Wow, that's my dog. How can you prove that? Well, I already explained that in the previous video. If you haven't seen it, you're already late. And now what I'm going to explain in this video is some tricks. I'm not going to explain the tricks because I don't have the dog to demonstrate how it's done, but I'm going to explain some ways to prove through training that that dog is yours. The first thing we can do is basic training. That is fundamental. Here you have, on this very channel, a free course to start from scratch. That is, to take the dog from zero and teach it the basics, which are to pay attention to you, to sit, to lie down, to stay still, to come when called, and not to pull on the leash when you take it for a walk. That course is not finished yet because, well, if you haven't seen previous videos, I inform you that my dog was pregnant, and tonight she gave birth to a few puppies. Seven puppies. Here I leave you some little photos, okay? I will show you more deeply what they are like. Back to what we were saying, basic training, fundamental. Well, the problem is that there are many dogs with this type of training. In any case, the fact that you know that the dog of that lady over there can sit or lie down is already an indication that, well, if that dog doesn't know you, how do you know that dog can do those things? Well, you simply know it because they have taught it to him. But still, I would go even further. I mean, we can teach dogs much more complex and special things that 80% 90% of dogs do not know how to do, such as training them in a discipline or a canine sport. There are many canine sports, such as canicross, which is the most basic discipline, which is simply running with your dog. There is the famous agility, which everyone knows, right? Well, here I will leave a small video clip for you to see how these sports are, okay? Agility, as you can see, involves dogs jumping over hurdles, going through tunnels, climbing over obstacles, going down, etc. The hypo, or RCI as it was called before, or another name later, because it sports what I do every 5 min, which is a much more military obedience, much stricter. I mean, you tell the dog to sit and the dog sits and sits quickly, okay? Lie down and the dog lies down quickly. It has a defense part of tracking. This is what I did with a little dog, a German Shepherd I had, who passed away in December and was named Ula because she is still here in spirit. And well, other sports, mondioring, which is similar but with some differences. Mondioring has a very cool aspect, which is the defense of the owner. In short, there are many disciplines. Besides that, we can teach them tricks. To teach tricks, we first need to have basic training done. So you can start doing it now, and you have to practice each video for a week. 2009. The following week, the next video, the following week, the next video, and so on. In a month and a half, you will have a dog that will amaze you. Not only control, as I mentioned before, but also to see how the dog enjoys and how it keeps asking you for more. My dog, when you see her, every time she hears the sausages and the leash, she goes crazy because she feels like a circus dog, as they say, right? Because she loves to play with me. And it's a very fun game, because not only does she learn to do things, but she also learns skills. Well, once we have the basic training done, we can start teaching her more complex exercises, okay? There are people who call them tricks, but in reality, they are not tricks at all. It's a methodology that needs to be learned. As I said, these are more complicated exercises, and right now I don't have a dog to show how to do it. So I'm going to show you some examples of what tricks we can do with our special dogs. And then little by little, we will make videos of that so that, well, anyone who wants to do it at home can practice. One example is that he dances with you. I'm going to put videos back here of these types of tricks so you can see how cool they are. One is dancing with you, where, as you can see, the dog touches one paw, then the other, and it looks like you are dancing together. Those are things that normally a regular dog doesn't do unless you have taught them. Another very cool exercise is for the dog to cross between your legs. You walk and the dog goes through your legs. You can do it walking forward and you can do it walking backward. There are many modalities. 2009. Okay, I will also show you in a video how to do that. Don't worry, okay, I'm going to teach it. Another exercise is to play dead. This one is very simple. This will probably be the first video I make because it is very easy to do. Luring is used. If you don't know what luring is, look it up. Because I don't remember in which video I explained it exactly, but it's there in the training course. And well, you will know how to use luring to teach your dog to play dead. My dog, for example, would do the German Ula. I would do it, boom. And the dog would go boom, I down. It was super cool, it was very fun. Another thing is to stand up, to walk on two legs, okay? I am speaking in general, so if you have a Mastiff, you cannot teach it this trick. The play dead one, yes. For example, this one I just mentioned about walking on two legs. Well, it is neither flashy, okay, nor is it good for the dog because it can hurt its hips. To make a bow, that is, the dog lowers the front part and keeps the back part up as if it were standing, okay? It acts as if it were bowing. This is often used to greet the audience or greet the family. Hey, greet my friend, I don't know what the dog does. Yes, it's cool. Well, it's something. For example, if you find your dog with another person, you can say, look, officer, my dog is going to bow. You tell him, hey, greet the officer, and the dog does that. It's clear that it's yours. To get on your back, for example, that is, you tell the dog to get up and the dog climbs on your back, okay? You see it here in the videos. It's an exercise that can be done with medium-sized dogs. You can't do it with small ones unless you lie on the ground. A Yorkshire, for example, it's complicated for it to jump onto your back. It would have to lie on the ground, for example. And if it's a dog, a German Shepherd, a Mastiff, if it climbs on your back, it's heavy, okay? It's the last exercise you do with your dog. Another exercise that you can only do with medium. And small dogs is for them to jump into your arms. It jumps and the dog jumps to you and you catch it. Imagine what we said before. You find your dog walking down the street, the one that got lost, that doesn't match the microchip, but you tell the dog, jump, and the dog boom. It jumps on you. Well, they are almost unequivocal tests. This dog has evidently been yours. And then there is one that I like a lot, because it can serve different functions, which is asking the dog to bark on command. You can tell your dog to bark, or any command you want, and the dog would bark. For example, I used the command bad. The dog doesn't care. It doesn't understand the meaning of bad. Dog understands that with the command bad, it has to bark, and by barking, it receives a reward. It doesn't bark. It doesn't think, oh, my owner told me that this is bad, so it must be bad, I will bark. No, that's not how it's taught. The command bad or bark on command, well, the dog barks, you encourage the dog to bark, and when the dog barks, it receives a reward. So it's very fun. Moreover, you can teach it to bark a specific number of times. That's much cooler as a password than what we're talking about today. Why is it cool? Because dogs can count. Did you not know that? Now there will be 40 comments. I knew it. I knew it. Who doesn't know that? That dogs can count, and many of them can count a lot. So you can tell the dog to bark, for example, 3 times, a signal to bark 3 times and to bark 7. On the command bark 3, bark 7, it should have a good bark. I am a barking specialist, I know. And bark 7. Well, because bark is 7. It is also true that the longer the number, the easier it is for the dog to get distracted while counting and make a mistake. So it's easier to teach them to bark twice, to bark 3 times, to bark 5 times. And that's it. As I said, we are going to do most of these exercises with Farmer as soon as she returns from her maternity leave. And we will practice it with her. Or at least I will show you how it's done. I probably won't teach you all these exercises because they are not necessary. It's also not necessary for you to teach your dog all these types of exercises. Even if you teach him a couple of them, it's enough. I also tell you one thing. The more exercises you teach your dog, the more tricks, though it annoys me that they are called tricks. But well, the more tricks you teach your dog, the easier it is for them to learn new things. Okay? We can teach them more complicated things, like turning the light on and off, picking up an object that you dropped, helping you with the shopping bag to take it home, etc. Those are already much more complicated exercises than these. They are complex exercises that in turn are subdivided into different types of simple exercises that are then all combined, and they become a super cool exercise. And that's it. See you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, hit the bell if you haven't done so, and let's get to work with your dog. A hug, and see you in the next video.